Welcome back to another episode of We Still Don't Have a Name.
Do you want to name us?
I don't think they want to name us.
Do they want to name us? I don't think they want to name us.
I don't think we want to get the names that they want
No.
to name us. But if you have some names, we've done one and done or two. No.
There's a movie about that. That's already been taken.
The Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. We wanted to set some time aside again today and chit chat with our friends and talk with you about some different interesting things that are on our minds in the workplace scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think right now one of the most hot topics in our households, in our business, in our organization, in the world is AI.
Yes, and how do you use it as a part of your hiring process, and where is it an advantage and where is it a disadvantage?
Right. So we just finished a commercial recently. We wrote all about AI.
And how much we hate it.
Basically, yeah, no. So it's funny because I love AI. I do. I absolutely do. Recruiting is about people. And so sometimes when you put too many processes in place in front of people, it can be a deterrent. And so, yeah, there's so many things that are being done with AI in the recruitment. Like, tell me some of the things that you've experienced that are streamlining. Give me an overall perspective for someone who hasn't seen it before.
They're doing interviews. They're doing AI interviews. I think they're doing resume screening using AI or tech. I think that there's so where you use computerized learning or knowledge to refine your candidate list, you are going to, and this is probably counterintuitive, but you lose candidates that you should keep in the process.
Why?
Because you lose people that don't fit the mold. It's this goes back to our last conversation about what school was like for A students and D students. But if you don't fit the mold, AI is going to fit everybody into a mold. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have an opportunity to look outside the box. It doesn't have exceptions to it. Everything has to fit the box. Mm-hmm. And so if you're somebody who colors outside the box,
it's
like me,
hard for you.
I'm going to always get screened out.
Yeah,
and there are organizations where I'm an advantage.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was on LinkedIn today and I saw a post, and it was just like a meme on LinkedIn, but of a girl who was filling out a job application for a job that she was not qualified for. And the whole comment was, when it says that you need 2 to 5 years of experience that you don't have, but you apply anyways. And sometimes those people are the best candidates you could possibly find. And that's where AI falls down, because you're right, it's screening everything based on specific keywords that were put into it. And if it doesn't see what it wants to see, it'll just disregard it. But people are people, and people go so much farther than their resumes say. And so having the critical thinking skills as a human to be able to see a resume and go, okay, they don't have the exact experience that I need, but they've got some relevant experience in this fashion or that
transferable
fashion,
skills.
which is exactly what we were talking about in the last podcast, just about how the value of a recruiter is to be, or the value of an agency is to be able to help you articulate the things that you've done in the past to push you forward into jobs that are best suited for the skills that you already have, but don't necessarily have access to getting the jobs and roles for.
Right, and there are jobs and roles that are out there that most people have never heard of nor understand exist.
Right. So how could they possibly be pre-qualified to do them?
Right. If they didn't know what happened.
They don't even know of the existence of it.
Right. And so I think that the big challenge to AI or you know,
The streamlined processes
tech related
within it.
processes, is that you lose the human element, and people are humans, and so they need a human element. I think that when you're hiring on a mass scale for massive organizations, they've done the math, and they've determined that while they may lose out on 1% or 2% of their qualified candidates, if they look at every single candidate, they're never going to get through all of them, and so that's why they should use an agency.
Yeah.
Because they need, and I'm sorry, that was not thought through, but a great plug. It's a great plug. So the reality is that the reason why companies should use an outside service is so that they can download that responsibility on other people's humans to go through the process of screening candidates out as individuals. Because honestly, wouldn't every company want to be known as looking at every candidate as a person or as an individual?
I would hope so.
Right?
Definitely not, but I would hope so.
So I think that the more that you can, you know, as a company, you want your culture to be that we care about people. Is that basically everybody's culture line in their employment brochure? It's like, yeah, come work with us because we think of you as a person. You know, we may have 10,000 employees, but we think about you as Hannah.
Not 0.55,
yeah.
92, yeah.
But to make that real, you don't need to just look at your employees as individuals. It starts with your candidates at the front. And so you're going to have a better cultural fit. You're going to be truer to your cultural brand if you're actually looking at every resume.
Okay.
Personally, as individuals.
Yes. So then, where do you see it paying off well in recruitment and retention?
I think it's better later in the process.
Okay, so in retention, not recruitment.
No, it's still in recruitment, but
just
further on.
In the,
so
okay.
when you're using personality profiles, or they're looking for not necessarily culture fit, but trying to understand the person and how that person's going to fit the role, and how the top 10% of people in that role work out from a personality standpoint, and how attentive to detail they are, or how personable and people related they are, or how process driven they are, or whatever the skill set is that makes them the best 10% in that career path, in that job, then bringing that back to analyze the candidate who's already been considered as a human.
Sure, that makes sense.
Right? So backload it, don't front load it.
Yeah, use the resources that come from within it, such as testing and personality tests, so that you understand them, rather than streamlining processes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
People first, process later.
People first, process later. So, okay, that brings me into another topic.
Okay, great.
People first. What are your thoughts on it being a candidate-driven market right now? Do you think that it is? Do you think that it isn't? So we've been told that it has been for a while, but things are shifting.
Yeah, it's a recession. The recession hasn't hit yet, but it's coming any minute as inflation continues to go bonkers and your food bill is going nuts. Is your food bill going nuts?
Oh my gosh, it is so expensive here.
How would you know?
I went grocery shopping on Saturday here. How would you know?
Well, because Mom's been sick for a little bit, so I had to go do the grocery shopping. But no, honestly, the food bills are growing outrageously, and inflation is a real thing. The recession is a fake thing today. It could be a real thing tomorrow. 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. That's a recession. So once we see that, we'll have a recession. That'll be true. But what I would say is, as it relates to the candidate-driven market,
Do you think that it is?
it is a candidate-driven market. And if we go, if we go back to our previous statement about every company's employee culture being driven around individuals, don't we always hire in a candidate-driven marketplace
Oh my
where
gosh,
we
what a sappy
care
statement.
people and we, but like it's true. It just reiterates exactly what we were saying about AI. You need to deal with people as individuals and stop caring if candidates have the power or companies have the power. If you're going to stay true to we're employee driven, we're employee focused, that's what all companies say that.
Okay, so if companies are saying that, what should they be doing right now to put themselves in a better position than other companies to be gaining the top tier talent that they want? And what makes a company an actual people driven company versus someone who says that they are and don't show up for it? Sorry,
let me take the second one first, and then we
Okay.
can go back to the first one. The way you answered it in the question, the way you prove yourself to be a employee-driven organization is you show up for people.
Okay, how do you
care.
show up for people?
So you show up by being in relationship, by engaging them, by giving a care, by actually knowing and expressing care and concern for individuals, not for groups.
Right. So it's not our recruiting team and our marketing team and our sales team.
It's the
it
individual
is Hannah
supervisor
and
manager.
Krista and
And the way they interact with the people.
Right.
And the way their manager interacts with them models for them how they should interact with people. And it has to be a top-down driven thing. You have to care about your people.
Okay.
And the hard part about that is when the recession comes and you have to lay people off.
You care a lot about your
You care
people.
a lot about the people, and it hurts.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And that's why you're a manager and you get a X benefit over what the frontline person gets.
Right.
Is so you can make hard decisions, and life sucks when you have to do that. And I'm sorry you took the job. So like you
Yeah, I was just about to say, you want to talk about that?
So Hannah had for the first quarter of the year taken on a new role as sales manager and had 3 or 4 staff reporting directly to her. 5 staff reporting directly to her, excuse me. And how did you like that?
I hated it.
Why?
I hated it so much.
Why?
It's funny because
You're such a people person.
yeah, and I love those people. I never want to manage them again, respectfully. And so it's funny, I stepped into the role out of a necessity. It's a family business. You do what you gotta do. We had a hole, and that's how we proceeded forward with it. And so it was a little preemptive, let's just be honest, which we all knew and is totally fine. It was a stretch, and so it was
premature.
Yeah, absolutely. It was you're stepping into this position based on need at this moment.
Right. Not based on your maturity. It was actually the definition of premature.
Yeah.
You're an employee at this level. We need you to work at this level. That is premature.
Yeah.
Good luck with it.
Yeah, best of luck. And so I did that for a while, which was great because it really did help us kind of come over this hump of change that we needed to work through. But I was not the right person for the job. It took me twice as long to manage the people. I didn't have the knowledge base that I needed to manage the people. Anytime that I needed to do background work and dive into the data and actually look at what was being done, it took me much longer to understand it and comprehend it, and I wasn't being the most effective in that position as somebody else could have been, based on the experience that I had and the experience that they had. And so then, based on our needs, again, at that given moment, I was like, I'm done. Thank you so much. And I I don't know, would you say quit, resign, step back? I don't know what you want to call it. I told you I wasn't doing it anymore.
Reallocated responsibilities.
I reallocated my responsibilities, yes. Back strictly to sales and marketing. So I'm still managing all of our marketing team. That's been going really well for a couple of years now. But sales, just strictly sales. So I'm back out hunting as aggressively as I possibly can.
So would you say that your experience in sales management versus marketing management, in marketing management you were more project managing, and there were people that were executing the projects, but you were managing the projects and the people were doing you were delegating work to them.
Yeah.
With the sales management, you were actually managing people and their expectations and supporting people, and that's just messier.
Yes, and I would say because our marketing, we didn't have a marketing department when I first came into Better Together.
Right.
And so I created it from the ground up. Everything that we do, everything that we produce started right there. And so it's a lot easier for me to grasp my arms around it and be like, this is what needs to be done, and this is how you need to do it, and this is how we need to move forward. And not that I don't have a similar perspective around sales. I mean, I started as a junior salesperson. I made the leads, I made the cold calls, now I do outbound, like close deals. There's so many different layers of it. But it's such a bigger part of our organization that there's so much more to grasp. And so
and in a changing market, the pressure is more, and
oh my gosh,
the pressure was really the thing.
The pressure was the thing that drove me.
Right, and in the end, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. You talk about it in your book. You manage and deal with some anxiety in life, and it was more anxiety producing than you anticipated.
Yeah.
And we're not looking for things that are producing more anxiety for your life.
Right. No. If you know anything about Dave, I share the same brain as him. And you like to have control. Having control over my own book of business is really valuable. Not being able to control the book of business, that the people that I am managing and the outputs that come from that was detrimental to my soul.
Yes.
So that really was, at the end of the day, it was for me knowing that I was managing the group of people who were bringing the income into the organization that my entire family took a paycheck home from.
Yeah, that's a fair bit of responsibility.
Pressure. So it wasn't for me at that time.
So let's take all of that and talk again about the candidate-driven marketplace and organizations that know and understand their employees, what's going on in their employees' lives, and how they can adapt their jobs to affect that. You were in a place where the anxiety was significant, and the pain was real and unhealthy for you, and you wanted relief from that and asked for relief from that. But I didn't make it easy for you.
No.
No. How many times did you ask me how many times do you think that you asked me to release you from that?
I think I probably asked twice and told once. I think it was me the first time and the second time. It was me putting feelers out, being like, are we ready to make a change? Right. Is this possible? Could we move forward in a different way? Would we be okay if I wasn't able to do this? And then maybe the third time I was like, no, Dave, you it's done. I'm done. I'm out.
Right. And so was that a good process for you, or should we do that differently for other people in the future? Is it appropriate to, when someone comes and says, can we, to push back on them and say, I'm not sure, what do you envision? Help me understand what you're thinking about.
Help me understand, my favorite sentence. I think one of the things that our manager Brian tried to instill in me through my short term in management was break down to curious. Why? Help me understand that. Why? So when they come forward and they're like, yeah, this is something that's been a little bit of a thought recently. I don't even know that the first time I asked you about it, I genuinely understood the emotions that were running through my body or why I was asking those questions. I couldn't necessarily articulate in those moments that it was too much for me. I just could feel it bubbling and gaining. And so I think that when someone comes to you and is distraught or distressed in some capacity or another, you really just need to revert back to what's going on. Help me understand what's going on in your life. Like, why is that like that? Why is it causing you this much anxiety? What's going on? And then you ask people all the time, what can I do to help you? And they don't necessarily know. And so if you take the time and the patience, which can be really hard because it's a busy life, running staffing agencies in 3 different companies and living in 2 different places, it's hard to sit down and take time to just talk and chat with your staff. But if you do that, I think it'll give you a better grand all perspective as to what they need that they don't know that they need. And so, because you have a better critical thinking mindset, you've been through a lot of the things that these people are going through, and so you might be able to hear a situation from someone and be like, oh, Hannah, I'm so sorry that you're feeling this way. I'm so sorry that this is what's going on. Why do you think that? Okay, well, why did that happen? Why does that make you feel that way? That's an interesting emotion to trigger towards that action.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, maybe if we tried this, would this be beneficial to you? When I was in a similar situation 20 years ago, this is what I did and it was really helpful. And I think that sometimes when someone's drowning, they don't know how to grab something to help them swim. All they're doing is flailing. And so that's why it's the lifeguard's responsibility to jump in and grab them. It's not just about throwing the ring, it's about pulling them to the side. So that's a
yeah. I think the key really is, you know, and obviously with you, you know, you're my daughter. I love you, and I care about you like a few other human beings on the planet. But as it relates to employees, we need to care enough to ask the questions to understand what's behind the emotion, what's behind the decision, and what is most helpful to them. And so
that brings it right back to
and so even recently we had somebody who gave their resignation,
and you said no,
and I said no, and we worked through it, and we kept working through it, and it worked out really well for them. We had another person who resigned, and I said no, and we worked through it, and we worked at it, and it didn't work out so well, and we okay, great, now we've tried everything.
Yeah.
But you need to not give up on people immediately, and it's hard to know when to say yes and when to say no. Did you know that you can say no to people's resignations? You can. You can. If you care. If you care about them,
if you care enough
and you're putting what is most important for them at the front. Okay, if you're saying no based on what's most important to you, then that's not right.
Right, you're not saying no to a resignation. You're saying why. That's what you do. And so you're like, help me understand where this comes from and why you're doing this. And so we can overcome the barriers that are in your place to make you successful here.
Yes.
And so that's it. You're not saying no, and you can't force someone to come to work.
No, I can't force anybody to come.
Chain and ball, unlike what I've been told my whole life. But
True that.
True that. But yeah, all you're doing is just bringing it back to the same thing we just talked about. Why? Where is this coming from? What's going on? How can I support you? How can we make this work? And how can we move forward together? Because we're
better
together.
So in an employer candidate driven marketplace, care about the people, help them solve their problems, and I think that you have a better organization. I think that you need to be careful that you meet candidates where they're at, you understand where they're at, and the other thing about being in a candidate-driven marketplace we haven't talked much about is hurry up. Make a decision. Like, why is your process so bad? Okay, and what does it tell an employee, a future employee? Talking to a guy this morning who will remain nameless, looking for a job, a high level job like general manager ish in a transportation company, and started talking with the company 5 weeks ago. They know they need a general manager.
Mm-hmm.
They know that he's qualified to be the general manager. He's descending the ladder of complexity, as we say, into this general manager role. It'd be easy for him. He's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it before with larger fleets, and they just can't make a decision to save their lives.
So,
and it poisons the relationship at the beginning
mm-hmm.
because they just can't pull the trigger.
So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's that they can't make a decision. I think it's that they can't pull a trigger because there's a roadblock of some sort. But I think that that's often top level approval, not mid-level understanding of the candidate.
Often that's the case. In this case, it's not. He's talking with the owner,
okay.
And the owner can't pull the trigger. But and there's other issues. Like every organization, there's other issues at play and whatnot. But like it's just so often as business people, we're focused on making the right decision for the business, and this is going to sound weird. We're focused on making the right decision for the business, and we don't think about the people. And this goes back to the previous conversation where it's about the people. If you have the right people on the bus, you'll be able to get to the destination that you want to go. And he's the right person. He's got the right pedigree. He's got the right experience. He can help the organization. They know that. They just need to pull the trigger. And so hopefully before this airs, he'll have the job and have started. But it's about people. It's not kind to let people go into a weekend not knowing the outcome of their interview. It's not kind or respectful of people to ask them to do 5 interviews for a mid-management or below job. It's not acceptable.
It's not reasonable.
It's not reasonable. And in a candidate-driven marketplace,
you're only setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, and you're not living out your statement to employees about how much you actually care about them because you don't. Because you care about the business or you care, and I know we all have lots of stuff that occupies our time, and it makes it hard to get that meeting together. But is it really that hard? It's like, hey, Bill's a really good candidate. I think he's the best. Should we hire him? Press Y for yes or N for no.
Or even just give me a thumbs up for yes or a
Group
thumbs
chat.
down for no.
Hey.
Did you hear? We'll get off topic here. This is super interesting. Are you?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Let's go.
This will be our last one. But did you hear that a judge? I just saw this on LinkedIn because Dykstra commented on it. A judge ruled a thumbs up emoji this last week or a couple weeks ago as a contract binding agreement.
Love that.
Based on a text message that was sent. This is what we're gonna do. Thumb up emoji. Contract binding.
I love that. That's true. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Your thumbs up is yes. Thumbs down? No. It is that simple. It is that simple. It is that simple. If a verbal contract is legit, an emoji is also
legit. So then this is a different thing. I heard this the other day, and what are your thoughts on it? That social media could be a form of government ID in the next decade.
They know everything about me, so why not? honestly, what doesn't Facebook know about me?
Right? Honestly, Facebook or Instagram should be the first ones to be acceptable forms.
Because they've mowed all my grass. They know everything I've ever searched anywhere. They,
As someone who's gone Like, I've used it as a form of government ID. Like, when
Have
if I go out with friends and I get carded, I'm like, yeah, here's my card. And they're like, that's a Florida card. That looks like a fake. What do you, I'm like, no, this is my Instagram. Look, I live in Florida. Look at all of this is where I live. This is my name. This is my face.
Okay.
And it doubles it up. And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I think, I think that, there's lots about that we don't understand. I think that, but yeah, I think that if you have a long history, it should
play out.
it does validate. Like, every time I interview a candidate, I search for their Facebook page.
Oh, me too. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Twitter, I feel like, is a bit of a black hole. I don't necessarily want to know what's on their Twitter.
They're not going to, like, what they say on their Twitter is not going to be significantly different than what they've said elsewhere. It's
I would disagree.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You think people just go pure negative on, like,
Twitter,
they can be nice everywhere else, and then
no
butthole
face,
over there?
no pictures. It is strictly context-driven words. There are pictures, there are videos, but for the most part, you're text to text. And when people's pictures, faces, identities, lives are not wrapped up in the social media around them, they don't feel like a person, and they can be much more cruel. So
That's stupid.
I'm
not saying it's untrue.
I'm
just saying that if you're a different person on Twitter than you are everywhere else, you have significant problems. Fix it.
I wouldn't disagree.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. That's how I've seen it.
If you're on Twitter purely as a hater, stop it.
Get a life.
Stop. Just stop it. Delete your account. Okay? Go be the nice person that you are everywhere else and stop hating.
Yeah.
There's no point to it. Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
So is that like a public service bulletin?
PSA.
A PSA.
Get a life.
Please.
No, I'm just kidding.
If you're on Twitter and you just hate stuff, stop it.
You know what's funny?
Somebody's gonna hate this just for that.
Somebody
who really likes me is gonna hate this just to
for that.
grind me.
You know what's funny is we started watching Last Man Standing last night.
Yeah.
Because I'm 24 and living with my parents again.
Yeah.
But
yay! That's equally as exciting for all of us.
But the show Last Man Standing, what it is a guy not unlike you who works at an outdoor company, and needs to take this magazine from a physical digital copy to something that is
Purely digital.
digital, and online, and the next century moving forward. And so what he does is he starts vlogging, but what blows it up is that he gets so angry in the vlogs and just starts yelling at people for being stupid. And that's exactly what you just
Some people
did.
are stupid.
But that's what draws people. So
Well, I don't know if it's drawing anybody to this, but please feel free to reach out to me at davedoesnotcare.com. And no, I'm just joking. You can reach me, Dave, at Better Together
after
Group.
we talk about just loving people the whole time, like, I don't give a crap.
That's so funny. DM me here, or reach out to me anytime, Dave at Better Together Group. I think my cell phone number is on my LinkedIn, so just reach out. I don't care.
That's so funny. Oh man. Well, with that, do you want to say goodbye?
Adios.
Adios.